Hello everyone and welcome back to Getting Stuff Painted, my bi-weekly update, give or take, on the various miniatures that have been getting painted for the various games we cover here on the channel. And I know what you're asking, is the new trend storyline in these videos carrying on this week? The answer is yes, and I'm not providing any more context other than that. But for you this time around, a little bit of a surprise I think, and a very, very different mix of games. So going from left to right, we have Devil May Cry, we have Marvel Crisis Protocol, we have DC Universe, and then slash kind of going into Batman miniature game, Core Clash, and Don't Look Back. So very different selection this time. Again, all done with contrast. Let's talk a little bit about them and why some of them were done. So let's start with Dante, Nero, and Trish from the Devil May Cry miniature game that I covered on the channel by Steamforged Games. I haven't got any immediate intentions of going back to the game. I do intend to go back to it at some point. Like I keep on telling myself that down the line, when it's a little bit quieter, a new miniature game or board game release wise, which I don't think will ever happen, but let's pretend it does, I'd go back and revisit other things that I enjoyed that could be done for like a one-shot video, and the Devil May Cry board game definitely fits into that category. And I just felt like wanting to paint something a little bit different. I wanted to break from Batman, thugs and superheroes, so well, why not go back to Devil May Cry? So we start with Dante, as a ball gets dropped at my foot again. Again, everything done with contrast paint, with a little bit of normal paint mixed in. I think that's in focus. That is Flesh Tear Red for his trademark jacket, Black Templar for his jeans, Ultramarine Blue for his shirt, kind of the inverse of the colours I use, or the amount of colours, same colours but amount used on Nero. Gun and what's this? I've forgotten the name of his basic sword. Is it Alastor again? Oh, I can't remember. I kept on meaning to go back through all the Devil May Cry games. I need to now because I'm forgetting. Devil May Cry 5 is very, very good though. One of my favourite games of the year released. For the base and for the hexagonal rim, which matters for the combat in the game, again that's just the same red, but the black is Black Templar contrast, and then once that was dried, applied just normal black, matte black paint to try and give it that very clean look. Because again, for the way the game plays, if you aren't aware, you need to know where their front and side facings are. So, as I was trying to say and failing for Nero, same two colours as Dante, the Ultramarines blue and Flesh Tears or Blood Angels red, but inverse in terms of like the amount of colour, because blue is his main colour on his jacket. Let's see if we can get him a bit closer actually. I think, no, not quite. That is trying for the background again. Maybe. He's got grey on his jeans. I honestly think it's still zooming in on the background, isn't it? Hang on, maybe if I try this touchscreen thing. There we go. What about that? I don't think that did anything, honestly. Oh, actually, no, it did. Okay, I should press that button more often then. Anyway, for his sword and gun, just silver with a little bit of opus pink, because he's got his sword's called something rose. I've forgotten what it fully is called, and that's one of his replacement hands he gets in the game. It's the electric one, which again I can't remember the name of, but that's just a little bit of Aethermatic blue and gold on the fingertips. Okay, oh, and Gilman Flesh for all the flesh tones here, including on Trish, who isn't as nice as the other two, but is also much more basic because she's just a bunch of Black Templar skin tone and then Skeletal Horde for her hair and silver for her guns. And the yellow is just multiple layers of... I tried a Valero yellow, I think is that I mean the paint brand. It begins with a V. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. It doesn't really apply much better. It's basically the same as all the Citadel yellows. You require multiple layers to even get it remotely nice looking. A little bit of Yandan yellow as a base as well to work on. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing like all the miniatures from the game. I'm definitely going to finish V because he's on the painting table right now, and he was the other main character of the game. I may or may not do Lady as well, and then that's the entire cast in terms of like the heroes. Probably won't do any of the villains or anything like that. Well, maybe Virgil. I blanked on his name for a second there. Virgil, maybe him because he's cool. But it's just a little side thing I felt like doing. I think they came out okay, and if I do play it again in the future, at least it'll look better now. So I've moved them off to the side slightly. One dog ball throw later, we have Honey Badger is the smaller of the two, and X-23 from Marvel Crisis Protocol. Battle report with these two have already gone live, I don't really like X23's sculpt, so you know what, let's talk about her first, the older sister. Well, they're not really sisters, they're clones, but whatever. So X23 is just a bunch of Gulliman flesh, the Silicanum Grey Black Templar, and then just the base paint with non-oil over the top. The pose is a little boring, I will say. It's not their best, it's definitely not their worst. I would say their worst is still probably Black Cat, followed by Winter Soldier, just for how boring it is. And then the upcoming Elektra also has a terrible pose. And I can safely say that because if for nothing else, the Marvel Zombicide Kickstarter showed that there are still some decent innovative sculpts you can think of for Marvel superheroes that look a million times better than some of the Crisis Protocol ones. Pardon me, there's a tennis ball on my foot. And she keeps on walking around in a circle until I don't ignore it anymore. So this is Honey Badger. She's the smallest miniature available for Crisis Protocol now, barring Rocket Raccoon. And I'm actually kind of happy with how this one turned out, and that was despite using Yandin Yellow, which is obviously very hit or miss. That's just the base coat for her white with non-oil over the top, Gulliman Flesh, Black Templar, etc. I do have one complaint though, which I couldn't have spotted during the unboxing really, and it's these super thin bone claws of hers. Upon picking up the miniature, I've already accidentally bent them twice. They are exceptionally fragile because they're so thin, even though Atomic Mass Games uses decent plastic for their sculpts. Sooner or later it's going to break off. You're just going to absent-mindedly pick her up like that and you're going to bend them and they're going to snap. It's going to happen. I don't even know what you could do to avoid it. Maybe do your own with green stuff if they do break off. It's very unfortunate. They should be a little bit thicker, even if that's not canonically accurate, just so that they're sturdier. And it's a shame because you have to be super careful with picking her up or moving her as a result, because they will snap off. So from the DC Universe miniature game / also we'll just cover Batman miniature game. Finished off the TV villain box set by finally getting around to painting Malcolm Merlyn as he appeared in the Arrow TV series portrayed by John Barrowman. And not much to say about him, honestly. It's the same colours I've been talking about. Black Templar for his jacket, his inability to focus, etc, etc. Let's see if that does anything. I tried pressing the button again, it didn't work that time. The magic please focus button. And that is Wildwood for his trousers. Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think that's snakebite leather. It doesn't look bright enough for that. And a little bit of silver on his bow as well. So he came in the box with Damien Dark and Reverse Flash. And Reverse Flash I showed off a little while ago. So that is that box entirely done. He can be used in... Actually, he might be Batman only. I thought he was used in both, but he might be a Batman only miniature. So we do have the big Wonder Woman, but I want to very quickly talk about the new Lobo miniature that was Christmas themed that Night Models released in late January. Don't question it. So I showed this one off on Twitter a while back. Let me see how close I can get in here. There we go. That's not too shabby. The light of the the shadow of the camera is casting a little bit on his foot, but that's okay. So if you want to go look up this miniature, you might notice that there's something different about my version. He's meant to be having a hook in his hand here, and his hand is holding onto a sack of presents that's like tripping and falling all the presents out on the base. Well, when I got mine, that part of the sprue wasn't there. And it's such a headache having to deal with Night Models customer support trying to chase up missing bits, because I bought this from them directly, like a fool. I decided, no, I really don't want to have to go through that hassle of like speaking to someone in customer service who can barely speak English and then having to prove that there's part of a sprue missing. So instead, I made use of a leftover bit of sprue from a previous purchase from Night Models. This is the other gun variant for KG Beast. So I decided to mold it onto Lobo's hand Barrett style. Pretend it's a hook launcher, I guess. And it's the night Santa went crazy. He has murdered Santa. He has a reference to a rule that has no bearing in the rulebook. Like when he kills someone, you can drop a suspect marker, and in the rule form says it also counts as a bloody present or something. And then there's no reference to what that means. It doesn't apply to any of his rules. He doesn't have a unique objective card. It's just nonsense. So, you know. For skin tone, I painted the other older Lobo last time. It's essentially exactly the same colours, with the exception that this is like military or paramilitary Lobo. So he's got some Militarum green on the army bits on him, and the red for the Santa hat and presents. And the ice base was done exactly the same as the Mr. Freeze stuff that I talked about. Oh, I've got to throw a ball again. She's getting impatient. Let's put Lobo back there because we're going to talk about large Wonder Woman now, which is the only other large Wonder Woman that exists for the game. I was told she's better than the 1984 one that they did that has the golden armor. That's technically not true. The one in the golden armor is better in every way. What's really, really good about this Wonder Woman, I mean, you might prefer the sculpt, I'm talking about stats here, is she's only 12 levels to bring, whereas the other one is 16. And compared to other relative 12 level characters to bring into a 60 level game, which is the standard current size, she is ridiculously powerful. She's probably the strongest 12 level character in the game, so I can understand why people would like her. So I used Blood Angel's Red, Nazdrag Yellow for her golden lasso and the parts in her armour. That is a Krellin Green, which is more of a blue, as you can tell, for her cape. And to make it look like kind of old ruins that she's standing on, that skeletal horde with Agras Earthshade over the bottom, and then tufts of grass put round, like I've done on a few different miniatures in the past as well. It's a really nice sculpt. She looks very imposing and powerful. She's too often used like Vegeta is in Dragon Ball Z, which is to make the main character look strong. In Vegeta's case, it's to make Goku look stronger when he beats the villain that beats Vegeta. In DC Comics, Wonder Woman is there so that she can get beaten up, and then Superman has to defeat the strong villain. Like what happens in anything that has Doomsday in it, basically. She puts up a fight, gets beat, and then Superman dies fighting him. I've seen that in like 4 different ways. But anyway, moving on. So I previewed 2 of these, I think, or maybe 3 if you count Twitter, for Core Clash. I have started finally painting them so that we can get another video done, but this time having a featured full team. Probably still not any painted scenery. So Bolt has been in both the test battle reports I did for Core Clash, and I'm aware they're not super popular, which is a shame, but it was a Kickstarter backed by 400 people in the world, so I wasn't expecting bombastic results in terms of views or anything like that. But I really like the miniatures and the different styles they are. So I wanted to do a little bit more coverage of it, but it's not going to be like tons and tons of it. But either way. So this is Bolt. He was in both the battle reports. I don't think he's very good, but I still like the aspect of a super fast robot teleporting around the battlefield. He is using a bunch of Iyanden yellow, kind of going for a Bumblebee vibe. Pardon me, with a little bit of orange as well on the rim of his helmet and the front of his chest. Basilicanum Grey for his guns, and Basilicanum Grey for all their bases, with a little bit of Talisar Blue on certain energy points, and that's where you magnetize the team token to, depending on which team he's on. Because I think you're supposed to draft, really, if you're doing a standard 2-player match and not doing co-op or anything like that. So that is Bolt. And then the other short robot, we have Doc, who I did show off in that video. He is, well, I was going to call him a healer. He does heal, but he is also a buffer. He doesn't just heal. And he has a basic attack, like every robot has a basic attack. So he is just the base coat of, I was going to say Skeletal Horde, that's not what I mean, I'm blank, Grey Seer, there we go. With non-oil over the top, Blood Angel's Red for some of the red bits, Nazdrag Yellow for the yellow bits. Actually no, sorry, Iyanden Yellow. And Basilicanum Grey for the silver robot parts. In the side there as well, to make it look like he's got energy liquid filling up his backpack to supercharge people. He's neat looking. And then we have, I think this archer is called Avenger, and it has a kind of like pink and white colour scheme going on, so that's a lot of Opus Pink. White is done the exact same way as Doc, and then that is normal Nurgling Green Citadel paint for the energy pulsing through them. Again, a really nice sculpt, and just a cool looking robot in general. Oh yeah, and a little bit of Nazdrag Yellow for the fins. It's a little difficult to try and pick out the official colours, because all you've got to go on is the stat cards, and the stat cards have a bunch of like Photoshop effects on them to make them look like they're mid-fight, so it's explosions and lasers and whatnot, so it's hard to see the mech and the colours they are on them, but that's all there really is to go on. And this is Kyojin. He is a sumo that has like push and pull capabilities, which is important for the game if you haven't seen it. Militarum Green with Calgar Blue, I believe, for kind of like the energy highlighting on him. And again, Basilicanum Grey as well. Very neat looking, very chonky. I like that the robots are all different sizes. They're not all set. They're all on the same size base, the non-boss ones anyway. But the robots themselves are a nice assortment of shapes and sizes. So last but not least, as my dog gets increasingly impatient with me throwing the ball so infrequently, we have 2 official killers from Don't Look Back. These aren't like third-party, non-affiliated sculpts or anything like that I've had. These are very specifically Don't Look Back expansions. This is the Gord Reaper 2, haven't been able to track down God Reaper 1, and it's very annoying because I want God Reaper 1 because he's the sequel when he's jacked and back, pardon the pun. And this is the end of the line killer, who I believe is called Boxcar Willie. So we'll talk about him first because he can be played once the base scenarios are done. I'd rather hold off on the God Reaper 2 until I can find the God Reaper 1 in a place that will either ship to the UK or just somewhere within the UK. So he's a Leatherface kind of parody. It's Talisar blue for his, I was going to say jockstrap, that's not what I mean. The overalls he's wearing. How could I get those words confused? I don't know. Basic white with non-oil or aggressive shade, over the top, Yandan yellow for part of his chainsaw, and a lot of blood for the blood god because he's a serial killer. He's crazy, he's gonna cut you, and then just some flock PVA'd to the base there with a little bit of blood on top of it as well. Simple but effective, and he is, I don't know how easy it will pick up on the camera, he is wearing someone else's face. Like, his face is hidden, so I tried to add a little blood trim around it because it's meant to be kind of like partially hanging off his face. Pretty cool. And a big hunk and chunk of resin, we have the God Reaper 2. The God Reaper 1 is a more traditional kind of spooky ghost with a pumpkin head. This is him when he's back and he's mad. So a lot of warp lightning on top of wildwood and snakebite leather, with Gryph-hound orange for his hands and the pumpkin, Nurgling green for the insides to make it look like he's channeling energy, and Militarum green for his cape, with I think there was a little bit of dry brushing on top, but I don't remember with what. Aggressive shade over the top a little bit. I did have a little bit of a problem with some areas catching contrast, similar to how Maleficus's miniatures are. Not sure if that was just a fluke or what, but I cleaned them and still had the issue. It might just be because it is such a large chunk of resin. But he looks very imposing, and he is on a larger base. He's on the same size base as the Keeper miniature that I showed off last time, so that size of base is acceptable for some of their scenarios anyway. So there will be more Don't Look Back in the future. I am enjoying playing it. It's a once in a blue moon type thing, but I am enjoying playing it. So slightly off screen now because I've been pushing everything to the side every time I lean down to pick up this tennis ball right here, this tennis ball right here. But that is it for another 2 weeks worth ish of painting. Next time, as I say, you'll definitely see at least one more mini from the Devil May Cry miniature game, just because I decided to paint up V as well, with the bird on his shoulder, voiced by Nolan North. I can remember who voices him, but I don't remember the character's name. There will be, well, depending on how long it takes, there might be those new Crisis Protocol releases, the Nick Fury and whatnot. Some more Core Clash. I need 6 miniatures to do a standard size game fully painted, so 2 more to go. Not sure which 2. I'm trying to pick ones where I can kind of easily determine the official colour scheme. Beyond that, I don't know, there might be more surprises, honestly. I'm kind of enjoying just kind of going back to previous projects that weren't finished and taking out some miniatures and just seeing how I do. There will probably be some Wasteland Warfare. Oh, you know what, there will be definitely one thing. It's a surprise of sorts. That's not really a surprise, especially not if you're a viewer of my Twitch streams, but here's a hint. There's your hint. So with that, if you want to show me what you've been painting on Twitter, feel free to do so. The link is in the description box below, but it's also at GamerEND. And show me what you've been painting. I like seeing painted stuff. And with that, thank you very much for watching this update. Hope it inspires you to get your stuff painted. It doesn't matter what your skill level is, just enjoy the process. And I will see you again in roughly 2 weeks. Until then, ta-ta for now.